those with an evil heart must not open the door. If they do, fate will turn like a wheel. All fate does is continue turning. Fate is bound in a circle. It's time for the doors of fate to be blown open.
Give it back! I said give it back!
Beneath the overcast sky, the voice of a young girl wearing a red backpack echoed. Yet the girl's cries apparently didn't reach the boys walking in front of her. Wow, it's pretty, huh? A boy wearing a tiger's cap held the thing the size of his hand up to the sky and admired it.
Hey, show it to me! Show it to me!
A boy in a giant's cap approached him, the beautiful design of the object capturing his eye, and he reached out for it without thinking. Yet a different hand reached out and snatched the sparkling gold object first. I see. It's a little weird, don't you think? A boy with his hair slicked back cleanly with pomade grabbed the chain and swung it back and forth like a pendulum. But in contrast to his words, his eyes remained glued to the object.
Hey, show me too! Show me too!
The eyes of the chubby boy with the giant's cap sparkled as he desperately reached for it. But the very next moment, again, a different hand snatched it away. Hey, isn't this a lid? The boy with the tiger's cap touched the round covering. It seemed designed to open like a compact, yet it wouldn't budge.
Hey, show me too! Show me too!
Said the giant's cap. Again he reached out for it. But again, another hand. Leave it to me. This time Pomade grabbed it and did his best to open it. But still, the lid refused to budge, like it was glued to the main body. Beneath the cloudy sky, once again the girl's screams chased after them.
Hey, I said just for a bit, didn't I? Now give it back.
The group of boys walking ahead didn't appear to hear the girl's pleas at all. They were absorbed in the thing. The tiny, tiny pendant, sparkling with a mysterious gold, had completely stolen their hearts. Around, around, the wheels went around. 3 men in black sat in the black car, so fast it seemed to slide across the asphalt. As the sweat dripped off their faces, anyone could see they were nervous. They drove towards the center of the city in silence, and once they reached the main road, pulled over quietly on the side. The small man in the back leaned forward. Then he pointed to the digital watch faces showing 250 on the arms of the 2 men in the driver and passenger's seats. The fat man gripping the steering wheel trembled slightly and gave a small nod. The slim man next to him, chewing gum, forced a smile. The small man, a bead of sweat forming on his brow, silently nodded. He set his watch to 0 with the others and then pressed the start button.
Give it back!
Right at the top of the stairs, the boy shoved the girl from behind. Exhaust fumes from the cars passing below the pedestrian bridge floated in the air.
That hurts! What are you doing? Yeah, that hurts. I'm gonna toss this. Look!
The girl screamed without flinching.
You said you only wanted to look at it a little.
And we're only looking at it a little, the tiger's cap argued.
It's been several minutes since we left the school gate.
Huh.
How many hours, minutes, seconds?
Pomade swung the pendant back and forth in front of her.
Please, give it back.
The girl desperately reached for it, but Pomade kept it out of reach.
I'm gonna tell the teacher,
the girl screamed. At that moment, Giant's Cap muttered something weakly. Hey, that's enough. Let's give it back. Shut up. Are you her friend now? Pomade jabbed him.
No.
Then keep quiet. I want to see what's inside this. Tiger's Cap placed his hand on the excited Pomade's shoulder and took the pendant. Then he turned to the girl and smiled. Hey, tell us how to open it. He held the pendant before her and started swinging it left and right. We'll give it back once we see what's inside. Hey, come on, please. The girl sighed and slowly opened her eyes, as though she had decided her own fate. A gunshot resounded. Immediately after, the emergency bell in the bank rang. People ran in every direction, while others froze on the spot, terrified. While everyone panicked, the small man in the ebisu mask ignored the ringing bell and started screaming orders. Shut up! Don't move! He waved the gun back and forth, stopping people from moving. The lanky man in the daikoku mask jumped onto the counter like a monkey and screamed. Then he threw 2 Boston bags at the staff. Ebisu mask, his mask grinning, pointed his gun at the roof and fired again. Put the money in the bag, quickly! Moving the terrified people was good enough. The air tense, the female staff in blue uniforms timidly threw notes into the bags. Daikoku mask continued screaming at them to hurry along. The alarm on their wristwatches gave a short ring. Ebisu mask screamed. 1 more minute! Hurry! Daikoku mask kicked the staff. He put the bulging bags under his arms and jumped over the counter. At that exact moment, they heard the screeching sound of brakes, and a black car drove up onto the sidewalk in front of the entrance. He honked twice. Ebisu mask and Daikoku mask rushed towards it. Then after a long silence, the girl suddenly opened her eyes. No, I won't tell you. So you don't want it back then? Tiger's Cap said, annoyed, swinging the pendant back and forth. The girl also violently shook her neck back and forth. Giant's Cap spoke again. "Hey, let's just give it back already." "Be quiet! Shut up!" Pomade screamed. Tiger's Cap again smiled coquettishly. "Hey, come on. It's gotta be easy, yeah?" But the girl's answer didn't change. "No, I won't tell you." "Why? We just want to open it a little. It's not such a big deal, right?" Tears glistened in the girl's eyes. "Those with wicked hearts mustn't open the door of fate." "What did you say?" Pomade suddenly muttered. The girl's distressed look continued. "If you thoughtlessly open the door of fate, you'll be bound by the wheel of destiny." The moment she said that, the sky suddenly lit up. It was immediately followed by the sound of thunder far away. The sky grew even more overcast. Pomade stood on the spot blankly, while Giant's Cap looked like he was about to cry. "Hey, let's give it back! Just give it back! That's enough!" Giant's Cap screamed. Someone laughed loudly. Tiger's Cap mouth opened wide and he held his stomach as he laughed. "If someone with a wicked heart opens the door of fate, they'll be bound by the wheel of destiny. Are you stupid?" Laughing, Tiger's Cap started swinging the pendant back and forth in front of the girl again. "If you're gonna lie, at least do a better job of it." The girl immediately grabbed for the pendant. Yet Tiger's Cap yanked it away before she could reach it. Then he tossed it to Pomade. "Yeah, we just want to open the lid. What are you saying?" Pomade caught the pendant. Then he threw it to Giant's Cap. "I thought so too, of course," he muttered. The girl chased the pendant through the air, crying and screaming. "Give it back! Give back my pendant! Give it back! Give it back!" A man in a grey suit made a move. Suddenly he jumped for Ebisu Mask's arm. His gun shook left and right. The man tried desperately to grab his gun. Neither Daikoku Mask nor the other surrounding people could move at the unexpected sight before them. The car horn honked again. The moment everyone returned to their senses, a dull gunshot rang out throughout the air. The man with white speckled hair slowly fell to the floor. A small dot of red appeared on the back of his grey suit, and then it visibly grew larger and larger. Everyone froze again. Ebisu Mask just stood there, dumbfounded. But then, his alarm rang again. That sound seemed to urge them on, and Ebisu Mask and Daikoku Mask ran for the car. "Give it back! Give me back my pendant! My pendant!" The girl repeated the words over and over. Every time she approached the boy holding the pendant, the sparkling gold would dance through the air as it was tossed to the next boy. Beneath the pedestrian bridge, the occasional sound of engines passed unaware of what was going on up top. Hey, it's over here! Here! Give it back! Give it back! Hey, it's over here now! Here! But the end of the game approached. Giant's Cap threw the pendant to Pommard, but he missed it. The four of them screamed together. The pendant flew over Pommard's head and over the railing. Everyone thought the pendant would fall to the ground. Yet the pendant wrapped around the railing like a spinning wheel and then stopped. They sighed. The girl quickly ran for the pendant. Tiger's Cap instinctively chased her. Both of them reached it at the same time. Then it fell. Neither of them knew who pushed it over the edge. But if Tiger's Cap hadn't reached out for it from behind, it wouldn't have fallen. The moment it fell, the girl jumped up on the railing and reached out with both hands. But she was too late. As the pendant bounced several times on the hard asphalt, the girl screamed, and the closed lid, the door of fate, opened. Yahoo! That was easy as! Damn! Kikuo said as Daikoku Mask threw it out the passenger seat window. The mask rolled and danced behind them. The Ebisu mask soon followed it. We're not safe yet, Riichi warned them from the back seat. His heartless voice trembled. Just moments ago, that right hand had fired a gun, and he was annoyed. His right hand felt as though it wasn't his own. It didn't move under his command. Kikuo kept on going, getting even more worked up. Everyone was terrified of us. Hey, check out this cash. Yahoo! He took a bundle of cash out of the Boston bag and rubbed it against his face. Riichi's hands trembled more and more, but when he was finally able to let go of the gun, he let out a large sigh. Then, he carefully placed it between his belt and pants. Kikuo placed his lips to the bundles of cash in both his hands. That was way too easy, huh, Non? He placed a hand on Non's shoulder as he gripped the steering wheel. Non gave a small nod. Yeah, but I wonder if that person's going to be okay. That person? Kikuo repeated. The person Nii-chan shot. Non sounded worried as he spoke. How the hell should I know? Kikuo said, annoyed and his eyes downcast. He won't die, right? He'll be okay. Shut the hell up. Who cares? But... I said, shut up. Kikuo's tone grew angrier. Can you two quit it? Riichi, having finally calmed down, spoke firmly. Non was the one surprised by his voice, and his hands slipped on the wheel. The car turned sideways. Sorry. Panicking, he got the car back on track. Kikuo spoke, as though trying to justify himself. It's because Non's such a goody two-shoes. Don't talk like that. Riichi scolded him. It's not like we've gotten away yet. Kikuo spoke, relieved. I know. We've got to get out of the city before the cops have finished their interrogations. No worries. Riichi leaned forward and showed the other two the digital display of his watch. We're 3 minutes behind schedule. It's only 3 minutes. Who cares? Piece of cake. Kikuo blew a bubble with his gum and grinned. Non glanced at him sideways, worried. But, Kiku-chan, it's like Lee-chan said. It's a little early to be celebrating. Shut up, Non. You'll be worshipping this too. See? Ah, the smell of the ink is unbelievable. As he said that, he shoved a wad of cash in Non's face. Non groaned, annoyed. Quit it, Kiku-chan! Quit it! I can't see what's in front of me. The car swerved side to side. Hey, Kikuo, quit it! Stop! Riichi reached for Kikuo's arms from the back seat, and then... The lid slowly opened, and tiny dolls came flying out. Their hands were held wide, joined in a friendly circle. Their tiny heads lowered deeply in a bow. All they had left to do was to wait for the melody. The music brigade then started, as though matching the other 5. They slowly started playing a melody. The others started dancing. Round and round they went. The musicians picked up speed. Zun-chan-cha, zun-zun-cha-cha, zun-cha-cha. They repeated the same melody. A familiar melody that one might have heard anywhere, anytime. And the dolls picked up speed. Zun-cha-cha, zun-zun-cha-cha, zun-cha-cha. They repeated the same dance. It was a familiar dance that one might have seen anywhere, anytime. On and on they all went. Zun-cha-cha, zun-zun-cha-cha, zun-cha-cha. To the edge of the world. Zun-cha-cha, zun-zun-cha-cha, zun-cha-cha. Around and around and around. Zun-cha-cha, zun-zun-cha-cha, zun-cha-cha. Around the skull. Zun-cha-cha, zun-zun-cha-cha, zun-cha-cha. The tune of the melody spilling forth from the pendant at some point picked up speed. The melody repeated over and over, like it had gone mad. The speed of the dancing dolls picked up to match it. Around and around they went, too fast for the eye to see. The girl bounded down the stairs. The boys watched her go blankly, listening to the strange melody. The boys whispered something. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. You're the one who said it first. This has nothing to do with me. The girl ran straight for the street the moment she hit the ground. She wouldn't let anyone else take the pendant from her. That was why she didn't notice. The car speeding towards her, swerving side to side. The moment she grabbed her pendant, her fate was... The impact rocked the girl's body. At the same time, the melody stopped. A dull thud ran through the car. The next moment, something hit the windscreen and went flying. Panicking, Non slammed on the brakes. The three inside reacted by flying forward. Non plunged forward, his body setting off the horn. The body on the bonnet slowly rolled off onto the road. The trio, shaking their heads, looked forward, and a surprised crowd had gathered to gawk at the sudden accident, and them.
What are we gonna do?
Non sounded like he was about to cry.
This is your fault! Your fault!
Kikuo grabbed Non's shirt and threatened to hit him. It was, of course, VIII who cut them short. Can you stop that?
But...
Shut up. Be quiet.
But...
As this was going on, the stunned onlookers came back to their senses and approached the car. Ignoring Kikuo's voice, VIII opened the door. Hide the money, Kikuo. Non, you check if the car can still go, he said and jumped outside. It was a girl. She was wearing a green jumper with white culottes, black tights, and white sneakers. Supposing she had just been lying there, it might have looked like the girl had passed out from anemia. But her left leg, extended from her skirt, twisted in a cruel shape from the impact with the car. VIII trembled. Perhaps because the girl reminded him of something. He crouched down beside the girl as she lay on the asphalt and lifted her upper body with a single hand. A single stream of red blood poured from her forehead. He hesitated a moment, but when the girl's eyelids started to flutter, he placed an ear to her chest. He could hear the solid beating of her heart. She was alive. He looked at her face again. Then the girl's eyes slowly opened, and then she whispered something. "Help me. Please, help me." The girl passed out again. VIII remembered something. Bystanders started to gather around him. VIII grabbed the girl before they could talk and spoke decisively. "We'll take her to the hospital right away. Please, step aside." Kikuo hurried out of the passenger's seat and opened the back door. Somebody screamed.
I think the ambulance will be here soon.
VIII got into the car with the girl in his arms. Kikuo jumped back in. "Go," VIII ordered, and Non quickly stepped on the accelerator. The car shuddered as though having a fit, but then quickly took off. It all happened so fast that the onlookers could do nothing but watch it go. The ambulance arrived 4 minutes later. 2 minutes after that, the police arrived. There was a loud bang below, and the strange melody stopped, followed by a car horn going off. The boys jumped up onto the railing in a panic. They looked down just in time to see the girl hit by the bonnet. They immediately ran down the stairs. They soon saw a short man with long hair jump out of the car. Without thinking, the three of them hid behind the guardrails. "Help me, please, help me," the girl's tiny voice echoed. The man who jumped out of the car panicked and picked the girl up before screaming, "We'll take her to the hospital." Then he jumped back in the car. By the time the boys descended the stairs and ran out onto the road, the car was already moving. The pure black car drove under the pedestrian bridge and disappeared. "Hey," Pomade said. "Yeah," Giant's Cap said. In response, Tiger's Cap looked down at the ground. It was then he noticed something. At his feet, right where the girl had been hit, a piece of metal lay. "Huh?" Tiger's Cap bent down and picked up the piece of metal from the manhole it sat on. It was a badge with the letters E and W. The cloudy sky lit up in the distance. Thanks to the unforeseen accident, they'd gone wildly off schedule. They were already well over 10 minutes late. "What are we gonna do?" Kikuo was the first to speak. Through the front windscreen, cars packed all 4 inbound and outbound lanes. They were unable to move an inch. It was probably because of the construction occupying the left lane up ahead. But they couldn't be certain that it wasn't the police carrying out their investigation either. The girl lay in the back seat, her head resting on Niichi's knees. She broke out into a sweat, perhaps because she'd broken a bone or had some other internal injury, and every now and then she groaned. Non kept turning around, looking worriedly at the girl. "What are we gonna do?" Kikuo screamed again. Niichi had been brushing the girl's hair the whole time. He kept his eyes closed and didn't say a word. The news started on the car radio, which had been left on. "A flood warning has been issued. Drivers, please take care on the roads. News just in. At roughly 3 p.m, the Tozai Bank, Sendiyama branch, was held up by 3 men with a gun. They escaped with roughly 150 million yen. One of the criminals fired at the branch manager, Kabuto." Unable to keep it in any longer, Kikuo screamed, "What are we gonna do?" "Be quiet." Niichi suddenly opened his eyes and admonished him. "We should have left that kid there, damn it." Kikuo turned around and glared at the girl. "I said be quiet." Annoyed, Niichi grabbed Kikuo's shoulder with one hand and told him off. Kikuo clucked his tongue and spat on the floor. Niichi let go of his coat. "At the time, there was nothing else we could do, and would you rather they reported us for hit and run as well?" The radio continued incessantly about the robbery committed by the Ebisu and Daikoku masks. Police have set up traffic checkpoints to track down the thieves. "It doesn't matter now, damn it," Kikuo screamed.
Hey, let's get the hell out of here. They're gonna catch us. They're gonna catch us, Non said, about to cry. Shut up. You caused the accident that got us into this mess. Kikuo hit him in the face. His head jolted to the side from the impact. Quit it! Riichi screamed. The radio continued with the news. The branch manager, Kabuto Koji, was quickly taken to the hospital, but soon passed away due to blood loss. Police are now investigating the crime as a murder. He died, Non muttered. Kikuo turned to look at Riichi. We gotta get out of here. Quickly! Let's kill that kid and run. I know! Riichi said, holding himself back. He breathed out slowly to release his nerves and then said, But there's no reason to kill this girl. Why? Kikuo asked immediately. Riichi continued in an indifferent tone. She's been unconscious since the accident. We can just leave her in the car. It's not like she's seen our faces. Well then let's go right away. Kikuo hurried them along. Riichi shook his head. We can't. The cops are everywhere. So then what are we gonna do? Kikuo raised his voice. I know. Just shut up. Finally, Riichi got angry. An uncomfortable atmosphere filled the car. The traffic jam still hadn't budged. Rain started to fall on the front windscreen and then gradually got faster. The radio repeated the news. Suddenly, Riichi muttered something. That's it. He slowly pointed out the left side of the front windscreen. There was a yellow and black lattice occupying a square piece of ground to the left of the road. There were large letters on it. Sewerage pipes, under construction. We can escape through there. At that moment, the girl suddenly woke up. Then she turned her head side to side, taking in each of their faces. Thunder rumbled in the distance. At some point, the boys had reached the park. The three of them sat down on a bench. The rain that had just started dripped from the small roof above them. What are we gonna do? The first one to speak out was Giant's Cap. What are we going to do? Pomade muttered, his words emotionless, and then turned to look at Tiger's Cap. The boy wearing the tiger's cap stared blankly at the cloudy sky. The rain grew heavier and thunder rumbled violently. Stop it! Non's high-pitched voice filled the tiny car. Shut up! She saw our faces. We've got to kill her. Kikuo's voice trembled, and he did his best to hold Non back. His face downturned, Riichi's hands around the girl's neck squeezed harder and harder. The girl's face turned red with blood. Stop it! Are you going to kill again? Are you going to kill again? Non continued screaming. The girl's face gradually turned from red to white. Shut up! Shut up! Kikuo covered Non's mouth with his hand, but Non shook it off and continued screaming. "That's enough! That's enough!" Ryuichi also looked pained. Then, the car behind them honked its horn. Without realizing it, the traffic jam had let up and cars were moving. The power drained from Ryuichi's hands. Panicking, Non stepped on the accelerator. The car slowly started to move. Up ahead, they could see the small red checkpoint light. Their choice had been made for them. They pulled over on the side of the road. The three of them searched the trunk for torches, grabbed the bags of money, and got out of the car. The rain pelted them. They took the girl along as a hostage. Darkness silently enveloped the park. The rain didn't let up, and thunder shook the sky. The boys didn't go home, but rather sat on the bench the entire time. Giant's Cap and Pomade repeated the same things over and over. Maybe that girl's parents are at our houses right now. Idiot! They've got to be at the hospital. She was hit hard, so she's got to be there. So then, the police are gonna come and arrest us? Are you stupid? We didn't hit her, so why would they do that? Really? Yeah, that's true. Probably. What do you mean, probably? How would I know? But we did that. We made it happen. No, but They had this same conversation over and over. Suddenly Tiger's Cap, who had been quiet, stood up. "Let's go home." "But," Giant's Cap said, "it's late. We have to go home." "But what if..." Pomade resisted. "We can't stay here forever," Tiger's Cap pointed out. The other two slowly nodded. Standing up, Pomade purposefully smiled and said, "That's right. Maybe she died, and she can no longer tell them about..." He suddenly shut up. The boys started running in the rain. How far had they walked already? The stench and the darkness, the violent sounds of water, and their exhaustion and hunger warped their sense of time. There was no doubt that they were lost. The sewers were like a maze, and before long, they had no idea where they were walking. "How about this time?" Kikuo's voice echoed. He shone his torch on the roof. Ryuichi was there. He was at the top of a thin steel ladder attached to the wall, trying his best to move the manhole there. "It's no good. It won't move. Damn it! It's too heavy." Ryuichi slowly descended the ladder. "What are we gonna do?" Kikuo asked angrily. They had tried over and over, but they hadn't been able to get any manholes open. "Why don't we scream for help?" Non muttered. "Are you stupid?" Kikuo kicked up the dirty water. "You want to let the police know where we are?"
As he reached the bottom of the ladder, Riichi took the torch from Kikuo. The light shone on Non and Kikuo's exhausted faces. Kikuo held 2 large bags under his arms. The small girl sat on Non's back. "Let's give up trying to get out through the manholes," Riichi said. There were numerous manholes above their heads that led back to the surface, but they were useless and did nothing but infuriate the men. "Let's follow the flow of water. Once we reach the end, we should reach the sewerage plant at the edge of the city," Riichi said. "Will we be able to escape there?" Kikuo asked. Riichi ignored him, shining his light on the water and following it. "Will we be able to get out there?" Kikuo's voice echoed. Riichi just kept walking ahead. The remaining 2 men sighed and followed him. That was all they could do. "God damn, I'm thirsty! Damn it!" Kikuo's screams echoed. The men were confined deep in the cold, narrow darkness. The phone rang. The jarring electronic sound rang out over and over. "Hey, would you answer that, please?" His mother's voice from the kitchen echoed in the living room. "I'm busy right now, please." The phone continued its annoying ringing. "Hey, quickly, the phone!" It wasn't like he couldn't hear her. He could very much hear both her voice and the annoying phone. But he stiffened before the phone and couldn't move. The boy with the tiger's cap stared at the phone without moving a muscle. Maybe it was the girl's parents. Maybe it was the police. When he thought of that, he couldn't move. "He's not here? Jeez, where did that kid go?" Wiping her wet hands on her apron, his mother entered the living room. "You are here! Why didn't you answer the phone?" She reached out for the receiver. "Wah!" The boy stood in front of the phone, blocking it. "It's okay. It's for me." "You're acting strange today, you know. Hurry up and answer it." "I know. Go over there first." He chased his mother away. When she withdrew to the kitchen, he sighed, readied himself, and then picked up the receiver. "Hello?" Perhaps it was from the fever the girl had gotten when she broke a bone. Sweat poured off the girl like a waterfall on Non's back. Non pressed ahead through the continuous stream of dirty water. It had to be because of the rain. It reached close to his knees and flowed violently. He tripped and staggered. The girl let out a small scream. "It's okay," Non said to her gently. On the long path, he had tried to cheer her up numerous times, but either her injuries or fear kept her from speaking up herself. "Your name? What's your name?" "I'm Non, although my real name is Yasuke. But everyone calls me Non because of the first kanji in my name. How about you?" As usual, the girl remained quiet. "Leave that kid behind," Kikuo spat. Her name's Ko, Diichi said from in front of them, concern in his voice. Ko Kaori. I saw her name tag just before. Non smiled. I see. Ko Kaori-chan, huh? What a cute name. Unexpectedly in the darkness, the girl answered Non in a small voice, perhaps because of his kindness towards her. Thanks. Non's round face wrinkled in happiness. The girl placed her head by Non's cheek and asked him something in a tiny voice. Hey, are you really a bank robber? Non was surprised by the silent girl's sudden question, but he was so happy that he accidentally gave a large nod. He panicked and attempted to say something, but it was already too late. Hey, did you really shoot someone? Did you really kill someone? This time Non remained silent. You're going to kill me too, right? The girl whispered with a small voice by his ear. Non furiously shook his head left and right. Why? The girl seemed confused. Non's large body trembled, and he answered her sadly. I don't want any more painful memories. In the darkness, the girl smiled. It's me! It's me! A familiar voice echoed on the other end of the phone. It was Pomade. Tiger's Cap suddenly sighed in relief. Did something happen? Tiger's Cap asked, collecting himself. Yeah. A lifeless voice answered. What? After a moment's silence, finally he heard a voice. Ah, I've been watching TV this whole time. Doesn't look like it made the news. Yeah, not yet. If it does, it'll probably be tomorrow morning. Yeah. What's wrong? Get it together. The voice on the other end of the phone seemed lost over whether to speak or not. But then, he soon heard a small voice asking him a question. Did anyone contact your place? Who? You know who. I mean, that girl's parents or the cops. Did they call you? Tiger's Cap asked him back in a panic. No. The voice quickly answered. Oh, don't scare me like that. But why didn't they? They should have figured it out quickly that we did that and then that thing happened. After confirming that his mother was still in the kitchen, Tiger's Cap spoke in a low voice. Maybe that means she was hurt real bad. Real bad? Yeah. They both fell silent. You're going to school tomorrow, right? Pomade said. Yeah, of course. Tiger's Cap answered lifelessly. Then I'll see you at school tomorrow. Yeah, see you there. Good night. Yeah, good night. He slowly put the receiver back down. Then he sighed again. At the same time, the phone rang once more. This time he picked it up quickly. Hello? He held his breath and waited for a reply. It's me! It's me! It was Giant's Cap. There was a strange sound in the darkness. Something different to the sound of their footsteps as they proceeded through the water. Something shorter and quicker. It sounded hoarse and scratchy. Something was moving, running through the pipes that ran through the walls like veins beside them. What is that? VIII turned his torch towards the noise. Everyone turned to look at the light. Yeah! The girls' screams echoed. The three men then screamed at the same time. Rats! A pack of round, fat rats walked along the metal pipes. Like the four of them, the rats were heading further down the sewerage pipe. A parade of gutter rats? VIII muttered. Kuro grinned in delight. A parade of gutter humans. VIII ignored him and said, "We'll be fine as long as we don't provoke them." Then he shone his torch in front. "Let's go," he said decisively. "Don't worry, it's okay," Non repeated to the girl with a trembling voice. Kuro clucked his tongue and kicked the pipe. A metallic sound echoed. Several rats jumped up in surprise. Their fur ruffled, and their angry voices rang out at the same time. Again the girls' screams echoed. Non cringed. He couldn't take another step. Kuro continued kicking the pipe, enjoying himself. The dull metallic sound continued to echo. Finally, the rats' cries filled the tunnel, and all they could do was cover their ears. Dozens of glittering eyes glared at them in the darkness. "Would you stop that?" VIII grabbed Kikuo's forearm. "Are you scared, VIII?" Kikuo made fun of him. "Idiot!" VIII screamed angrily. "You're kicking a gas pipe!" Kikuo panicked and stepped away from the pipe. VIII turned his light back down the tunnel and started walking again. Kikuo clucked his tongue, adjusted the two bags under his arms, and followed him. Non quickly chased after them. The girl clung to his back, seeming to be deep in thought about something. The rats continued to scream. Morning! Morning! The cheerful sound of children's voices rang throughout the room. But inside, the three young boys felt the same as the downpour outside. None of them had been able to sleep the night before. Their faces were pale and their eyes puffy. They crowded together in the corner of the classroom, their eyes focused on one thing. The girl's empty desk. So she really isn't coming today, huh? Yeah. It wasn't on the news, huh? Yeah. She wasn't hurt that bad, right? How would I know? It wasn't our fault, right? Of course not. Right? They continued the same conversation from the day before in quiet voices, over and over. The classroom suddenly got noisy. "The teacher's coming!" someone yelled. The footsteps of the rats continued ceaselessly. Normally, if they covered their ears, it would be over. But the three had been lost in the dark for hours, and they were mentally on edge. Non had been talking to the girl until just earlier, but now even he fell silent. VIII furrowed his brow and just continued walking forward. Kikuo continued to munch loudly on his gum. They soon hit their limit. It hit them when they realized the corner they'd turned for the 324th time was the same corner they'd passed 3 hours earlier. The first one to make a fuss was Kikuo. "Shut up, shut up, shut up!" He kicked the black dirty water repeatedly. His screams and the flying water echoed in the tunnel. But still the small, hoarse sounds continued. No, rather, they got even louder. "Shut up, shut up, shut up!" Kikuo swung the bags around. He hit the wall again and again. The rats scattered and cried. VIII panicked and ran over to stop him. Yet the rats' hair stood on end. They bared their fangs and soon returned fire. The girls' screams shook the tunnel. The rats jumped for them, biting them with their sharp fangs all over. VIII accidentally dropped his torch into the dirty water. Everything went black. They all desperately tried to shake the rats off, but there were too many of them. Their angry screams and cries mixed. "Ah!" "The money! Give me the money!" VIII reached out for the bags Kikuo was holding. "Huh? What did you say?" Kikuo didn't hear him. "Give it to me!" He grabbed one of the bags from him. Then he shook off the rats that had grabbed even the bag and opened the zipper. He grabbed a bundle of 10,000 yen notes and then pulled out a lighter, flicking it on. Their surroundings slowly lit up. VIII put the flame near the rats. This time they screamed and ran off. VIII took out more and more bundles, making the flames bigger, and handed them to Kikuo and Non. They thrust the flames at the rats. The rats screamed in surprise at the heat. Their glittering eyes momentarily stared at the four, full of hatred. But finally, they broke apart and left. Kamisawa, here. Takinaka, here. Tetsuka. The teacher took roll as usual. The window glass rattled. Outside, it wasn't only raining, but windy too. Finally, it was the girls' turn. The boys made a sound. They broke out into a clammy sweat. But the teacher didn't call out her name. Instead, he said, Yes, it would seem she'll be away from school for a short while due to illness. The boys looked at each other. Those unexpected words caused them to freeze. All thought stopped in an instant. But a massive doubt raised in their minds as well. Why? Why? Why was she away because she was sick? They had no energy left. The three of them sat down, not caring that they were wet. They slowly put the girl down too. She thrust her hands into the dirty water so no one would see them. "We did it! We did it! Yeah! Yahoo!" They all cheered. But the four of them soon realized that was a mistake. It was true that the rats from before had run ahead of them, but that small sound refused to stop. The sound approached them from behind, even louder than before. That sound had to be. They shuddered in terror. A gang of rats, even bigger than before, was coming right for them. They had to move, but they couldn't. "Stand up! Stand up and run! Stand up!" The girl's voice echoed loudly. Hearing that, first Non jumped up. He put the girl on his back and ran off. Then VIII stood up. He lit another bundle of notes and held it like a torch. Then he grabbed Kikuo's chest and pulled him up, thrusting the bag at him. "You hold this," VIII said, and ran off into the distance. Kikuo hugged both bags tight and followed him. They both chased after Non and the girl, who had reached a split in the path. Dirty water flowed powerfully towards them coming from the left. This water mixed with the water they were already in and then flowed down the right tunnel. Which way? Left or right? They stood there, confused. The rats had almost reached them. Dozens, no, hundreds of footsteps caught up with them. Again, the girl screamed, "Right! Go right!" Non ran. The other two followed him. After turning right, a square hole appeared to their left, light shining through. It had been carved out of the wall. "That way!" the girl shrieked. They all ran into the hole. When VIII's flame went out, the mob of rats filled the water, the roof, and the walls. Hundreds, thousands of them poured in like an avalanche. Countless eyes sparkled as they ran after them, as though possessed. The four of them held their heads and ran through the hole. The rats continued further and further into the darkness, as though afraid of something. "I think we should tell them the truth." Giant's Cap's eyes grew misty. The boys gathered in the corner of the classroom as first period ended. "What are you saying?" Pomade said angrily in a small voice. "Something happened." "What the hell are you saying?" Pomade got even angrier. "It's strange. Why would she be sick?" A tear fell from Giant Cap's eye. "Well..." Pomade didn't know what to say. Why would she be sick? Why? Why? Giant Cap's voice got bigger. Surprised, Tiger's Cap covered his mouth. They looked around the room. None of their classmates seemed to be looking at them. Tiger's Cap said in a low voice, "Keep your voice down, got it? We don't know what's going on, so don't say anything just yet." "But she might really be sick." "Yeah," Pomade said. "But," Giant's Cap continued, "but what if something terrible happened?" Tiger's Cap glared at him. "What about it?" He suddenly raised his voice. The other kids in the classroom all turned to look at them. Then the bell for the second period rang. Silence finally returned in the darkness. "Are they gone?" Riichi hesitantly looked up. "Thank God." Kikuo slowly stood up. "All thanks to Ko." Riichi took the lighter out and lit another bundle of notes. The small flame danced between the narrow walls of the hole. Holding the bags tightly, Kikuo sat down next to Riichi. But in the darkness, at the end of the hole, Non showed no signs of getting up. "The rats are gone now," Kikuo said. But Non didn't reply. "Non?" Kikuo said again, but Non still didn't reply. Riichi approached him with the flame. Non's faint outline appeared in the light. "Hua!" Kikuo suddenly screamed. Riichi turned around in surprise. Kaori is..." Kikuo continued as though delirious. His finger trembling, he pointed towards the end of the hole. Riichi again turned his eyes towards the darkness at the end, following Kikuo's finger. The girl was lying on her back, with Non's larger body covering her. The girl's face, in the dim light, her eyes both wide open. They were drenched with blood. Riichi covered his mouth with his hand. He fought not to throw up. Then he forced himself to take a deep breath. He looked back at the girl again. The girl's tiny chest moved up and down. She was still breathing. "It's okay. She's alive. Ko's alive," Riichi said, relieved. Yet Kikuo was put off. "So, that blood is... what is it?" "Blood? The blood is..." Riichi approached the girl with the flame. The flame lit up the darkness. It shone clearly on the girl's blood-covered face and on Non above her, covered in blood. "Non!" Riichi dropped beside him and pulled him up. "Non! Non! Non!" His face was twisted and badly disfigured. He wasn't breathing at all. "What's going on? What happened to Non?" Kikuo screamed. Riichi turned to look at him. Then he whispered, "He's dead." "What?" Not Kaori. Not...
Diichi turned Non over and pointed to his throat. Look at his neck. It's been torn out. His neck? The wound is small, but the position of the bite was bad. It hit his artery. Diichi spat the words out and continued. Those bastard rats. Rats? Kikuo screamed. There's no way it was rats. Way too many past us. Are you trying to say that a single one of them bit his neck? His voice grew rougher, and he grabbed the absent-minded girl's shirt. This girl did it. Kaori killed him. Yeah, come on, confess. The girl's bloody face trembled several times. Confess, you little shit! Would you stop that? Diichi pulled Kikuo away and laid the girl back down. Are you protecting her? I'm not doing anything of the sort. Diichi told him off. Think about it. Why would Ko kill him? Shut up. Putting either of us aside, why would she bite Non? He was the only one she could rely on down here. So why would she bite him? Shut up. Quit your yapping. Kikuo clung to Non and started crying. His voice got louder and rougher. Tiger's Cap suddenly came back to his senses. Everyone in the class burst out laughing. The teacher was saying something to him. He shot up like a rocket. Sorry, I wasn't listening. Everyone laughed again. It was already the fourth period, yet he was unable to focus and had spaced out. Page 44, 12th line. The teacher shrugged his shoulders as though fed up. Yes. He quickly opened his textbook. At that very moment, someone suddenly stood up. Sensei! It was Giant's Cap. With his eyes down, his voice sounded strained. Sensei! What's wrong? Sensei! Pomade suddenly let his pencil fall. With his eyes wide open, Tiger's Cap stood there and watched them, dumbfounded. Sensei, What exactly is the problem? Giant's Cap looked up and into the teacher's eyes. Yesterday, The moment he tried to confess everything, there was a knock at the door. Everyone turned to look at it. The boys let out a big sigh. Yes, come in, the teacher answered, looking perplexed. The door slowly opened. The vice principal stood there, his face like a fox. Diichi placed a hand on Non's face. He gently closed his eyes. Inside the hole, the bundles continued to burn. All this money is nothing more than pieces of paper, huh? He muttered and turned towards the girl. She didn't try to wipe Non's blood from her face, but lay there quietly with hollow eyes. Diichi stroked her hair. Then the girl muttered in a small voice, Papa? A pained expression crossed Diichi's face. He gently stroked her hair again
Something glittered by the girl's neck in the darkness. What was it? Some type of chain or something hanging around her neck? The end of the chain hung beneath her shirt. As he got closer to see what it was, the tunnel suddenly went dark. The flame had gone out. He called out to Kikuo, "Hey, give me another bundle." But Kikuo continued to hug both the bags against his knees and didn't answer. He trembled more and more. "Kikuo, we need fire. Give me a bundle." VIII asked again. Kikuo's chin shook up and down thanks to his trembling. His teeth clattered. It seemed VIII's voice wasn't reaching him at all. "Oi, Kikuo, what's wrong?" VIII grabbed his shoulder. Kikuo finally seemed to notice VIII was there. "I'm okay now," he muttered. "I'm okay now," he muttered again, sounding like he was about to cry. "What's wrong?" VIII shook his shoulder. "Even if we reach land again, I'm okay." "What are you on about?" "If we all scream together, someone up there has to hear us." VIII answered him as though speaking to a child. "Hang on. Calm down. There are cops everywhere up there. Do you want to get caught? I know you don't want that." "Shut up! Don't tell me what to do!" Suddenly he raised his voice. He shook VIII's hand off. "I'm getting out of here." He jumped into the water holding both bags. Sewer water flew everywhere. Kikuo staggered through the water up to his knees. "Kikuo!" VIII jumped into the water as well. It splashed everywhere. The flow grew even stronger. It reached VIII's thighs. He chased after Kikuo as he moved towards a ladder. At that very moment, the girl suddenly started singing. She sang that melody softly to herself. Her gentle voice filled the tunnel. Kikuo turned around. His face shone in the dim light coming from the hole in the wall. It was pale, thanks to the fear he felt. So it was her. Kaori. She killed Non. Kikuo screamed, his voice shaking. "It's just a coincidence. A simple coincidence. There's no way Ko could know about that." Yet VIII's voice trembled as well. "Then what is it? What is that melody? Why does she know it?" Kikuo grabbed VIII's shirt. "Well..." VIII hesitated as well. "I'm gonna kill her." Kikuo let go of VIII and stumbled back towards the girl. "Stop it!" VIII stood in front of him. Kikuo tried to push him aside. The singing didn't stop. The girl continued singing that melody. The shadows of the two men struggling continued to tremble against the wall. Kikuo holding the two bags, and VIII empty-handed. VIII clearly had the advantage, but... Seeing his chance, Kikuo grabbed the gun from VIII's belt. "Move aside! Get out of the way!" Kikuo pointed the gun at VIII
and screamed. "Put the gun down, Kikuo. Put the gun down," Riichi warned him. "Shut up. We gotta kill her, or she'll kill us. She'll kill us." His expression turned terrifying. His face twisted frightfully in fear. Then they heard it. They heard it coming from deep in the tunnel they'd just come from. What on earth was that? The three of them forgot all about fighting or singing and turned towards the noise. This was entirely different to the sound of the rats before. It was lower, deeper. The three of them crouched and listened closer. The noise slowly got louder as it approached. It was getting closer. It approached them with ferocious speed. Was it water? The sound of a large volume of water pressing down on them? Riichi screamed, "Run!" But they were already too late. A flood of dark water bore down on them. It swallowed them in an instant. Then they finally realized the reason why the rats had panicked and ran. "Excuse us." The three boys followed the fox-like vice principal into the principal's office. Heavy rain poured outside the window, and the trees swayed left and right. In that room with the large wall clock, the principal, with the tanuki-like face, sat with three other unknown faces. According to the vice principal, the middle-aged couple were the girl's parents, and the other person, in a neat navy uniform, was a police officer. First, the principal spoke in a solemn tone. "First of all, you mustn't speak of this to anyone else. Today, that young girl didn't come to school because of illness." He continued, "In reality, she hasn't been home since yesterday evening." "She hasn't returned home?" The three boys looked at each other. The principal slowly nodded. "That's right. We don't know where she went after leaving school yesterday." Tears welled up in the mother's eyes, bright red and puffy like a rabbit. The father puffed on a cigarette, looking irritated the whole time. The principal continued, unconcerned. "And so, yesterday, some boys that looked like you three were seen with the girl." Giant's Cap's eyes darted around, while Pomade looked at the ground. Tiger's Cap clenched his hands into fists. "I called you here to see if you know anything. So, do you?" A stiff smile rose on his lips. The boys looked at each other again. Their hearts pounded so hard it seemed they might jump out their throats. The mother's voice trembled. "Please, if you know anything at all, please tell us." The boys broke out into a sweat. The adults' sharp looks pierced them. The sound of water flowed past Riichi's ears. It flowed over the top of him, drowning him. It felt good, like all the weight was being lifted from his body, like he was being washed clean, like his sins were being washed away.
But that wasn't really the case. Looking closer, he was getting dirtier from the dark water. Blacker, blacker, blacker. The filth got worse and worse. Finally, it spread to all around him, dyeing his surroundings black as well. Then the world around him was swallowed by it. Ah! VIII panicked and opened his eyes. He woke up from his dream, but the black world continued to spread out around him. It took a few moments before he grasped the situation he was in. That was right. The dark waters had swallowed him. Cold water slowly flowed beneath his head. A sound like a waterfall echoed behind him. He turned to face it. The water flowed heavily through a steel grate up ahead. It was rather deep. In the darkness, VIII rested against the grate designed to block off the sewer tunnel. After that, the dirty water swept him further and further into the tunnel. He hit the walls of the curving tunnel over and over. Finally, he got caught in the grate designed to catch things not meant to be there, and stopped. He tried moving, his body drenched from the head down. Ah, that hurts. He instantly stopped trying to move. Damn it, my ribs are broken. He frowned in pain and reached for something in his pants pocket. He took his lighter out and tried numerous times to light it above the water's surface. But it was wet and wouldn't light. Crap, it doesn't work. He threw it into the darkness. As he reached the concrete wall, he stood up out of the water. The water levels had dropped somewhat, but they still reached his knees. He started walking carefully back the way he came, so that the water didn't sweep him away again. Then he heard a voice deep in the darkness. Kuro! He screamed with all his might. Kuro! Are you okay? Kuro! Yet his voice echoed in vain, and there was no response. Kuro! He screamed again, but still there was no response. Damn it! VIII bent over in pain and plunged his hands into the water. He turned the opposite direction from the flow and started walking. Non's death was already more than enough. Only the sound of the wall clock counting the passage of time echoed in the room. How many seconds and minutes had passed? To the boys, time felt both long and short. Pomade spoke. He'd finally made his decision. The truth tried to escape from his dry throat. But at that moment, a fist hit the table. The loud bang echoed throughout the principal's office. Speak the truth. We know what you did. The girl's father threw his cigarette to the ground and raged at the boys. The veins on his forehead popped out. The boys cowered. Pomade's open mouth closed again like a shell. Please calm down, sir. We don't know that for certain yet. Panicked and confused, the principal tried to calm the situation. Are you still insisting on that? My daughter was with them yesterday. They must have done something. The father continued to rage. We only heard that they looked like them. There's no actual proof that it was. What? Give me a break. This is a waste of time. You're just... The father was beside himself with worry, fear, and anger. Finally, he grabbed the principal's shirt and dragged him around the room. The mother screamed, crying, and the vice principal and police officers desperately tried to pull him off. They seemed to have forgotten that the boys were still there. It was dark. The type of dark that came from being locked up deep inside something. The flow of dirty water had caught Riichi several times, swallowing him whole. He'd pull himself back to his feet again, plunge his hands into the water, and continue forward once more. He was looking for his friend. He was covered head to toe in filth. The first thing he felt when he plunged his hands into the dark water was a small, soft clump of hair. What was that? When he realized, he almost screamed. It was the corpse of one of the rats who had fled. He tossed the rat into the darkness. It sickened him. A large swell approached and washed over his legs. He fell forward and into the water. Damn it! His right hand hit something. It was a clump of hair. Numerous strands wrapped around his hand like seaweed. A rat? A dead rat? Riichi carefully stood up and pulled the clump up with him. This time the rat was big, bigger than both his hands, and round. He nervously continued groping around. Something protruded on both the left and right sides. They were undoubtedly ears. Kikuo! Riichi screamed. The final bell rang throughout the school. Red, blue, and yellow umbrellas held by young children flew through the school gate. The rain had turned to a drizzle. The three boys opened their small umbrellas and huddled as they walked. That man didn't take her to the hospital, huh? Pomade said after all their classmates disappeared. Yeah, Tiger's Cap answered. Where did they go? Giant's Cap asked. Nobody could answer. Of course they couldn't. Tiger's Cap pulled something out of his pants pocket. Ah, that! Pomade pointed. That thing you found on the road yesterday, Giant's Cap said. Yeah. Tiger's Cap stared at the small metal badge with the letters E and W on it. Maybe they can find out who that man is with this, Pomade said. That's right, they can, Giant's Cap said. But Tiger's Cap shook his head. We don't know whether he dropped it. It could have fallen onto the road before that. But, Pomade said. Then you guys say something. I don't want to, Tiger's Cap said and thrust the badge at the two of them. That's... Pomade and Giant's Cap were at a loss. Then shut up. Tiger's Cap glared at the two of them. But if something happened to her, Giant's Cap said, worried. Silence fell over the area. But Tiger's Cap soon opened his mouth. "If something happens, what are we gonna do if they find out we were there? Her father will kill us." Tiger's Cap raised his right arm. He turned towards the cloudy sky and went to throw the badge as hard as he could. At that moment, a voice suddenly spoke to them from behind. Riichi held onto the cold Kikuo in the darkness and walked with him. Tears streamed from his eyes, and they headed towards that hole. Over and over he screamed his dead friend's name. Before long, a voice singing in the darkness seemed to respond to him. The girl was singing that melody. Her soft voice quietly flowed down the tunnel. Just a little further. They'd been so close. Yet, rats had bitten Non to death, and Kikuo had drowned. If they hadn't had that accident, if that girl hadn't run onto the road, then this wouldn't have... Riichi hugged Kikuo one more time. Then he realized something. What the... His hands felt slippery. What was it? This wasn't from the dirty water. It was blood. He leaned Kikuo gently against the wall, sitting him down, and put his hand to his neck. There was an open wound on his neck, just like Non. Of course. And if so, then... Hang on. His gun. He didn't have it. Was it washed away? What about the bags? The 2 Boston bags he'd been holding were gone. Were they washed away too? He had to calm down. Think carefully. Calm down and think very carefully. He had searched the dirty water thoroughly in front of the steel grid. Yeah, he had done it. He'd carefully searched through the water. There was no way he'd missed the gun or especially the 2 large bags. Where had they gone? How could 2 such large bags disappear? No way. There's no way. There was only one possibility. That girl, but her legs were supposed to be broken. At that moment, the singing suddenly stopped. I'm sorry, do you have a moment? The girl's mother stood there in the rain. Her puffy eyes looked even redder than before. Clinging tightly to the badge in his right hand, Tiger's Cap deftly dropped it into his pocket. Then he hung his head like the other 2. Sorry for frightening you before. A smile appeared on the mother's stiff face. If you know something, please tell me, please. She politely bowed her head. The father didn't seem to be nearby. The boys' hearts began to pound wildly. What should they do? What should they do? What should they do? The beating of their hearts pounded even more wildly. If they were going to talk, now would be their only chance to do it. Only now. If they were going to talk, now was the time. Only now. Stay quiet. Tiger's Cap slowly looked up. Hey, do you know anything? He casually asked Pomade.
He shook his head, still looking at the ground. No, nothing. And you? He said to Giant's Cap. I don't know anything, he finally answered. After hearing both their answers, Tiger's Cap turned back to the mother. Seems they don't know anything. Oddly, the beating of his heart calmed down. For some reason, their surroundings were quiet. He continued speaking. I don't know a thing. Lightning flashed. It lit up the sky. At almost the same time, a loud rumble shook the earth. Raindrops fell upon their umbrellas like balls of lead. The three of them bowed and turned around to leave, shaking off the mother's glance like she was about to chase after them. Her cries echoed around them. If you remember anything, please tell me. About Lemmy. The boys rushed off into the heavy rain as though fleeing the scene. And just like that, the boys abandoned the little girl. A light broke through the darkness. A single ray of light suddenly brightened the area, coming from the direction of the flow of water. It wasn't very bright, but to Diichi's eyes, which had adjusted to the darkness, it was dazzling. Shielding his eyes with his hand, he squinted at it. The girl stood there. In her left hand she held a torch, and in her right, a gun. Ko Kaori. Waves quietly hit the hem of her skirt. The two large Boston bags wavered in the water. She leaned against the concrete wall, her shoulders rising as she breathed. Sweat poured off her pale face like a waterfall. That sweat turned red with the blood on her face. It was as though it was oozing out of her face. At that moment, Diichi finally noticed something. Something trembled suspiciously by her chest. It was... no way. But it had to be. It was... that pendant! Diichi muttered instinctively. The girl grabbed the dazzling, shining pendant. Then, she slowly opened the lid. A melody played. That melody. The boys continued walking. They walked through the rain, the wind, and the lightning as it went crazy around them, their lips pressed tightly shut as the rain soaked them. Then they heard something coming from somewhere nearby. That melody. That strange melody from the pendant. First Tiger's Cap jumped like an explosion. Then he threw his umbrella and ran. The other two threw their umbrellas and followed him in a panic. Their three umbrellas flew off with the wind, twirling around and around. This is... the girl said as she held the pendant. I got this from the person you killed. The girl grinned. No way. Lemmy was Ko. Lemmy was Ko.
How ridiculous! Remy was alive? Don't say such nonsense, Ko. VIII screamed without thinking. I'm not Ko. Her eyes were vacant, yet glittered. They glittered in the darkness, just like the rats. You read my name tag wrong. My name is Kabuto Kaori. It's read Kabuto. All of the energy drained from his body. Somehow, VIII managed to stop from collapsing. Kabuto Kaori. No way. That guy from the bank. That scene flared to life in his head again. The gunshot, the red dot on the man's suit growing larger and larger. Kabuto Kaori smiled and nodded. Red teeth poked out from her tiny mouth. That's right. Kabuto Koji is my father, she declared. The melody echoed violently. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Was this revenge then? It was all just revenge? But isn't your leg broken? The girl grinned with evident pleasure. I'm good at swimming. Huh. So that was it. With this much water, she'd be able to swim around where she wanted. She continued as her body trembled. After that, I quickly followed you. I swam, and because I had the torch, I was able to find you quickly. Then you killed Kikuo and took the bags. It was much easier than when I killed Non. He was passed out, so I only had to bite a little. What is going on? VIII groaned. He fell into the water like a doll that had its strings cut. With Non, I had to do it while the rats were all running, so it was pretty difficult. Damn it. You sure did a number on them, huh? At some point, VIII had started crying. You are the bad guys. You killed my father. At some point, the girl had started crying as well. The pendant continued playing the same tune over and over like crazy. Give them back! Give them back! Non and Kikuo. Give him back! Give him back! My papa! Give it back! Give it back! Our money! Let me go back! Let me go back! Back to my home! The melody continued. Give it back! Give it back! Give it back! Give it back! Their voices echoed inside the tunnel alongside the melody. It echoed all the way down to VIII's heart. To the past. The past. Give it back! Give it back! My pendant! My pendant! VIII remembered that day. Give it back! Give it back! My pendant! My pendant! The girl's voice echoed. The voice of that girl they abandoned, who thereafter was never found again. VIII wasn't looking at Kaori. He was looking at the girl from his memories, Remy. We wanted to let them know. We wanted to. But we were scared.
Diichi fell to his knees in the dirty water.
Give it back! Give it back! My pendant! My pendant!
Demi's voice echoed loudly in the depths of his heart.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We just wanted to have a bit of fun. We never imagined that that would happen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Diichi screamed through his tears. The melody filled the tunnel. He could no longer look at Kaori. All he could see was Demi.
Give it back!
The girl's shrill voice echoed. The gun went off. The dull sound shook the air. Yet the bullet grazed Diichi's temple and passed by his side. Blood trickled down his cheek. What on earth am I? Diichi was pulled back to reality. His instincts carried him before his thoughts. Kill her! Kill her! Kill that brat! Diichi pounced on the girl. The gun went off again, but again it missed. Sparks flew and the ricochet echoed loudly. At the same time, they heard something violently blow nearby. A foul smell started to fill the area. Diichi took a heavy blow. The girl sank into the water. The torch fell into the dirty water too. Darkness again filled the tunnel. Diichi jumped on top of the girl. Die! 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 He blocked her from shooting the gun with his left hand while drowning her with his right. Die! 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 The girl struggled for air. The pendant swayed in the water. At that moment, they heard it. The sound echoed loudly again. The approaching deluge panicked Diichi for a moment. The girl took the opportunity to open her mouth wide. Her blood-stained teeth poked out.
Ah!
She tore a piece of flesh from his arm. Diichi reeled back. The girl burst out of the water with the last of her strength. Glaring at Diichi, she leveled the gun at him. A smile rose on her bloody face, and she pulled the trigger. But at that moment, the deluge bore down on them from behind. The gun went off. Small sparks flew out of it. Gas had already filled the tunnel. Flames rose with a mighty roar, destroying everything and sending it flying. The people, the pendant, the manhole lid. Everything. The wind and rain brushed their faces. Dirty water overflowed from the gutters, and their shoes were drenched. Yet Kikuo, his hair a mess, even though he had set it with pomade, and Yasuke, with his wet giant's cap, couldn't stop running. They ran as fast as they could after Diichi with his tiger's cap. By chasing after him, they hoped to forget the girl's mother's crying face. There was a dull sound. For just a moment, the earth shook. An earthquake? Diichi in the lead rounded the corner. He went left. Kikuo and Yasuke panicked and turned. As they turned the corner, they saw it. The pedestrian bridge. That pedestrian bridge. But at that very moment, VIII disappeared. VIII found himself in darkness. He ran as fast as he could, chasing the melody. But suddenly the ground disappeared beneath him. His body grew light, and before he knew it, he had been plunged into darkness. He desperately groped around and clung to the first thing he felt. If he didn't, he felt like he'd keep falling forever. A deep darkness surrounded his feet, and from the bottom he could hear the sound of water and a voice crying. What was that? VIII froze at the unknown sound. It slowly got louder. It was welling up from below. It seemed to be a howl. At that moment, somebody called out his name. VIII looked up. Kikuo and Yasuke looked down at him from a round hole. The two of them were looking at him, worried. "Here! I'm here!" he screamed. He finally understood the situation he was in. He'd fallen into the sewers through a manhole. Someone had forgotten to close it, or perhaps as a joke had left it open. He didn't know. Running as fast as he could through the rain, he'd fallen right into it. After confirming that what he'd grabbed onto was the ladder, he carefully adjusted his feet. The howl coming from the darkness was getting closer. Next thing he knew, a ray of light shone down on his head, through an open, round hole. Rainwater flowed down through it like a waterfall. The manhole appeared to be open. He'd be able to escape. VIII struggled to stand up in the dirty water. A hoarse voice escaped from his burnt throat, but his body wouldn't move. "VIII! VIII-chan!" It had to be a hallucination. He could hear Kikuo and Non calling his name. The voices, as though guiding him, forced VIII to exert the last of his strength. His body no longer resembled its former self, and he finally stood up. His body should have been covered in burns, and yet he felt no pain. Heading towards the sound, he howled, and with burnt hands, he grabbed the ladder. Ah! His tiger's cap fell into the darkness, washed away by the rain. But VIII didn't feel like descending the ladder to retrieve it. The unknown howling was getting closer. He cowered, and his body refused to listen to his commands. Yet, Kikuo and Yasuke's voices pushed him on. "Just a little more, VIII. Come on, VIII-chan." Gathering up his strength, he climbed the ladder, up and up. Then, finally, both his hands reached the ground. The voices of his dead friends guiding him, VIII climbed the ladder step by step. If Kikuo and Non hadn't called out to him, he no doubt wouldn't have been able to move. Their voices, the light above his head, it had helped him to move. He could finally escape the darkness. Those feelings roused him. Just a little further to the top. At that moment, he realized something for the first time. Something was up there. VIII wanted help. He wanted to be saved from the darkness, so he reached out his hand. As Kikuo and Yasuke grabbed both his hands, something grabbed Diichi's foot. Something slippery grabbed onto both his ankles, screaming. Diichi thought it was going to drag him back into the darkness, so he blindly kicked his feet free. But not only did the slippery thing not let him go, it climbed up onto his back. Diichi desperately tried to shake it off. The thing clung to him for dear life. Then their eyes met. Diichi stared at him, astounded. At his own, younger, slightly dirty face. Diichi stared at him, dumbfounded. At his own, older, dirty face. Diichi kicked himself off. "Help me! Get me out of here! Save me from the darkness!" Diichi screamed as he fell. He fell into the darkness as though it were swallowing him up. Something small and sparkling danced through the air after him. As they finally pulled Diichi up, Kikuo and Yasuke both looked shocked as they peered into the hole. They also saw it. That... Trembling, Diichi screamed. "Shut it! Close the lid!" Once again, Diichi was swallowed by darkness, water spraying everywhere. Falling face up, he stared above as he fell. Something small fell on him. It sparkled and glittered. Although he could barely call them hands anymore, Diichi reached for it. Then he grabbed it. The round exit above his head, like a full moon, slowly turned into a half moon, then a crescent moon, and then again he was surrounded by darkness. Diichi saw it in the disappearing light. The small piece of metal he vaguely remembered from his youth. The small badge with the letters E and W fashioned on it. On the back, some small letters were carved into it. The Bank of East and West, K. Kabuto. The exit was completely closed. He was surrounded by pure darkness. That girl slowly appeared. She wasn't a hallucination. It was undoubtedly Demi. Her pendant, which she had finally gotten back, swayed by her chest. All this time, Demi had been trapped in the darkness all this time. Finally, Diichi understood. Everything was part of the wheel of fate. Everything was bound to one twisted wheel. Kabuto Koji, Kaori, Non, Kikuo, Diichi, they were all part of the wheel of fate. That had definitely been his younger self. Remy smiled. Then she turned to Bones. Her leftover pendant slowly opened. The melody quietly echoed in the darkness.
The lid slowly opened, and tiny dolls came flying out. Their hands were held wide, joined in a friendly circle. Their tiny heads lowered deeply in a bow. All they had left to do was to wait for the melody. The music brigade then started, as though matching the other 5. They slowly started playing a melody. The others started dancing. Round and round they went. The musicians picked up speed. Zun cha cha, zun zun cha cha, zun cha cha. They repeated the same melody, a familiar melody that one might have heard anywhere, anytime. And the dolls picked up speed. Zun cha cha, zun zun cha cha, zun cha cha. They repeated the same dance. It was a familiar dance that one might have seen anywhere, anytime. On and on they all went. Zun cha cha, zun zun cha cha, zun cha cha. To the edge of the world. Zun cha cha, zun zun cha cha, zun cha cha. Around and around and around. Zun cha cha, zun zun cha cha, zun cha cha. Around the skull. Zun cha cha, zun zun cha cha, zun cha cha. VIII slowly closed his eyes. The pendant lid quietly closed. The melody stopped. The door of fate closed. The boys stared at the closed manhole in the rain. What on earth had that been? It seemed so dirty, and yet so familiar. What had happened to the melody? That was definitely the melody from Nemi's pendant. The melody from that gold, sparkling pendant. The boys didn't yet understand that they were trapped in the wheel of fate like a Mobius strip. The sky lit up. Somewhere, thunder boomed. Night was about to fall. Darkness was about to take over. Those with wicked hearts mustn't open the door of fate. If they do, fate begins to turn, like dancing in a circle. Fate earnestly spins around and around. Fate is trapped in a circle. And the door has just opened.